Hello, Professor Engel. Um, this is my room at my mother's house, so don't mind some of the trinkets and stuff around here. I don't know. Anyways, this is probably the best setup in my room because there's this glaring light right here. Um, right here, it seems like it's not as bad. And here's my lesson plan. I'll send you a picture of this so that you have a better look at it. And I'm not exactly sure how you want me to do this, but I'm going to try my best to do it how I imagine you want me to do it. I assume you don't want me to name the category as I hit it because a regular teacher doesn't do that. So, and I assume you want me to treat this as if I'm a teacher and as if I'm teaching a mini lesson. And I'm pretty sure you said it should only be about 4 to 5 minutes, so I'm going to try and stay within that time limit. But I do understand that because I don't have any social forces that are guiding me to restricting my time, there is a very high possibility I could rant for a little while, but I'll try my best to be wary of the time and try and stay within the time limit that you said, as if I was in class. Sorry that I was not there for class that day. I was not feeling great at all. Anywho's, let's get into it. So I want to talk about the morality of plagiarism. So I want to talk about discussing a typically negative topic like plagiarism and seeing it from different perspectives. Um, growing up, we are told by teachers that it's a bad thing because teachers don't want you to do it. Obviously, it's cheating. It's not great. But of course, we're only painted this picture by teachers because they are the ones that are teaching it, and because they're the ones that are teaching it, they can tell you that's a terrible thing so that you don't do it. Pretty much every single teacher that I've ever had has painted plagiarism in a consistently negative light. And I want to try and see it from more of a gray light. A not so yin and yang. Oh, it's the bad. It's bad. It's terrible. I don't want to see it so much like that. I want to see more so where it lies in the spectrum. I feel like it's a spectrum, and I feel like it's too easy to paint it in a binary light. So going back to the Rebecca Moore Howard that we read last week, she discusses and she questions what are some motives behind plagiarism a little deeper into that article. More specifically, she says maybe the assignment just didn't intrigue them, maybe they didn't have time, etc. And let's even paint that picture of a student who plagiarizes. So a student plagiarizing, let's just say there's a student, and maybe some of you can relate to this. I assume you can because I can relate to this. Maybe all week you've had this project, and this project's due Friday, and you have to do this project, and the project's the highest thing on your mind because it's literally 40% of your grade for a class, and you just need to be doing this project. It's the only thing on your head right now. It's the only thing on your mind because you need to do this project because it's 40%. That's basically half your grade, guided by this one, whatever sort of thing they want you to produce from this project. Maybe it's a video, and so it's this one video they have to produce. But you also have friends that are going out Saturday night, and Sunday morning you have a cross-country meet. So you also kind of have those on the mind as well. Sunday during the day, maybe you're going to dinner with family because you haven't seen them in a long time, and suddenly you realize, oh snap, I have 3 papers due Monday, and I only have Sunday night to complete these papers, and each of them are from 3 to 8 pages each. So, that's anywhere from 9 to 24 pages of writing for our mathletes out there. And you're realizing that you can't really cancel on any of the plans you had, so suddenly things that maybe should have been a priority are suddenly not a priority because you had different priorities on the docket for now. and you're realizing you don't have time to complete all these papers, and probably what most of us would do, because we've been taught that plagiarism is so bad, is we would sacrifice our own well-being and not sleep for that night. We would just be up all night writing these papers, and likely the product of these papers would be, pardon my French, bullshit, because we don't have time to give our full genuine effort. We're probably tired by some point, and we just want to get these pages out. Probably most of them will hit the minimum amount of pages because we don't really have the time to put in an extra foot forward. And not only that, you probably don't even want to write some of these papers because you don't have the motivation, because these papers are not necessarily things that interest you. So now you're stuck writing these papers that you don't want to write. They're all due tomorrow. What are you going to do? Of course, all of us would, like I said, would opt towards the loss of sleep, but somebody who plagiarizes would not be afraid to maybe copy a Wikipedia article or whatever it may be. And what different is that than the bullshit that you were going to give them anyways? They're both pretty much equal wastes of time. The only difference really is the methods and the time consumption on my end. It's often that teachers believe that the time put into something is equally as important as what the final product is, and oftentimes we hear this kind of narrative of the time you put in is the time you're going to get out, or the effort you put in is the effort you're going to get out. But that's just not always the case, especially when things are piling up. So I just gave one reason for plagiarizing is time limitations. So I want all of you to give me another reason that you could see somebody plagiarizing, and I'll rate them all on the board. And once we get a good list going, then we'll group back. So this is where they would start giving me suggestions for plagiarism. Wow, those are great suggestions. So we have a whole plethora of reasons here on why somebody would possibly plagiarize. So now I want all of you individually to choose one of these topics. I don't care which one. There can be overlap. It really doesn't matter because we're going to get different perspectives on a single one if there's any overlap. And I want you to just discuss it into further detail, maybe more so how we get to that point. Sorry, my phone freaked out for a second. Maybe how we get to that point, and maybe what might be going through a thought process, and what that final product might look like. As we've seen in school, we are often juggling these multiple things. We're juggling things with life and with social interactions and all these different things, and it's just so limiting to be told that this one thing you just can't do. You can't do it, and I'm not condoning plagiarism in any sense. What I am trying to put pressure on is this idea that anybody who plagiarizes is a terrible person and needs to be expelled, and there's no excuse or no reason behind plagiarism. It's almost like academic murder. It's almost like you're murdering somebody. Like, oh, there's no reason behind it. And I'm not going to get into the morality of a murder, but I'm trying to say that a plagiarism is not to that severity, to that degree. I am not over here murdering anybody if I go to Wikipedia and take a couple sentences from it. Of course it's not great, of course it's basically cheating, but we often see things in too much of a scope and too much of a binary sense, and in the age that is really pressing these ideas of binary and really trying to mitigate those mindsets, I think that offering this explanation to plagiarism is not necessarily a terrible thing. Thank you. Thank you for your time. And that is the lesson. Hopefully I did everything correctly. If I didn't, I apologize in advance. But thank you for taking the time to watch this. Peace out.